So welcome to 2025. You join me. It's cold. I'm sat in a pub in the UK. And maybe this is the most cliche British thing you'll ever see. I'm sat in a pub drinking tea because it's that cold. But the steam is coming off the tea, by the way. It's not my breath in this room, if you can see that with as much 4K clarity on that camera as you may. But here's what we're going to talk about, right? There is so much negativity in this industry. It's doom, it's gloom, there's so many issues. Every Facebook group I look at, every LinkedIn feed I look at is all the reasons why we're so glass half empty about all the situations that are conspiring outside of our control in the industry. But I believe differently. I believe we are entering a golden period for private practice hearing care. And in this episode, I want to share the 4 reasons why I believe that is. After I'd shared them, then we can have the conversation of whether the doom and gloom naysayers are correct or whether we are actually entering this golden period. Welcome to the Business of Hearing podcast, the #1 marketing and practice growth podcast for high-performing private practice hearing care leaders. It's Friday, and this is my end-of-week roundup of what's top of mind after 7 days of helping some of the world's best private practices to attract high-quality patients, fight the evil forces of manufacturer-owned chains, and be impossible to compete with. My name's Ollie Luke. Pull up a chair, pour yourself a drink, and let's have a chat. So let's jump into them, and we're going to start with number 1. And number 1 is Apple. Because as I recording this, 4 days ago it was, Apple launched their commercial. So they launched it on December the 2nd, which I think it was like World Disability Day or something like that. And they put it on YouTube. They launched it on as commercial at halftime during some Thanksgiving football game. I'm not quite sure. But what's essentially happened since then in that 3 to 4 days following is the web traffic for the term hearing aid has reached a 20-year high. So if you look at Google Trends of the term hearing aid since 2004, over that 72-hour period, we had more traffic than we'd seen in 72 days for the term hearing aid. Like, it sent traffic crazy. Now, traffic is one thing, of course. What does this actually mean for a bigger picture? Well, as an industry, one of our biggest challenges is we have shouted from the rooftops that more people need to give consideration around their hearing abilities, caring for their hearing, giving priority to their hearing health. Finally, we have the world's largest, most influential tech brand that spends over $1 billion a year in advertising joining us in that messaging. We have people now that have never previously considered if they have a hearing challenge, now taking a hearing assessment on their own cell phone, realizing that they thought their hearing was there, but it's actually there, and they're on that path of awareness where now they need to start giving consideration to their hearing healthcare. Like, hearing loss and hearing health has gone from a little niche thing over here to mass market. Like, what could we possibly wish for beyond that? If we had a magic wand as an industry to say, what could we have to have more people finally get it and start caring about their hearing health in the same way people get their eyes tested regularly, their teeth checked regularly, like, this would be it. It has taken somebody like Apple to rock in and use their power, their brand, and their influence in order to make this happen. But know that a rising tide lifts all boats. And what is going to happen is millions of more people now giving consideration to their hearing health. Some are naturally going to use Apple as a solution. It's not a long-term solution. It's not a forever solution, but they're going to use it as a solution. But what it's going to result in is the ones that want to do it seriously, the ones that have a hearing loss that cannot be solved with a simple thing with a short battery life that takes care of mild to moderate hearing loss, is going to result in people coming to you. So the number of people that now have consideration for what you do, appreciation for what you do, and will be in the market for what you do is going to grow pretty significantly over the next several years. Like, that, to start off with, is a really positive thing for the future of our industry, and one that you can get super, super excited about. And of course, what is technology that is mass market available that promises to be a clinical grade hearing aid going to do? That's the question, right? Is it going to bring ASPs down? Probably. Is it going to bring the expected costs that people invest in hearing care down? Probably. But will that increase the frequency of purchase because people upgrade their iPhone, their AirPods every 2 to 3 years? Of course. So there's benefits and negatives in that. But the big underlying story here is significant more awareness of hearing loss, hearing health, consideration of hearing abilities, which is great news for people like you that naturally help people to solve meaningful hearing challenges. So that's the first big thing to get excited about. The second one is the changing dynamic of the generations right now. I've spoken about this before, but let me say it again because I do think it's the most meaningful, most important thing that we have as an industry right now. Between 1923 and 1945, people born in the US, known as the Silent Generation, grew up during a very, very challenging time. We had the Great Depression in 1929. We had World War II start in 1939. People who grew up during that time, they had a torrid upbringing. And knowing that the view of the world that we have is naturally developed before the age of 7 means that you growing up where everything is so scarce, finances are so low, or you've got to go to war and put your life at risk. You've got to see your loved ones go to war and put their life at risk. Like, you are not in a good position. Like, that naturally leaves its imprint. And we see that, right? We see that generation, people born between 1923 and 1945. And mostly, they're pretty frugal. They like to buy once, they like to buy low cost, they want it to last forever. They have a respect for authority. What the doctor says is what they do, what the government says is what they do, what institutions say is what they do, what the big brand says they trust. So like there's all these factors that play into that generation. And that has been the generation that we as an industry have served for the past 20 years. It's people who don't do research online. It's people who go to the trusted, most convenient option because they're on the high street or they're a big trusted brand. It's the ones who want to spend less. It's the ones who have the largest expectations. And naturally, that's what we've dealt with, what we've built our pricing models around, and the market that we've had to cater for and attract through advertising like newspaper, direct mail, the things that generation responded to most prominently. And knowing that generation always required a face-to-face conversation before making any form of meaningful buying decision. Following that, 1946 to 1964, we had the baby boomers. And this is where we're in this transition right now towards these baby boomers. And these baby boomers are significantly more than the silent generation. So silent generation in the US, there was a total of 19 million. Baby boomers, closer to 70 million. So huge number of, a lot of baby making was made in 1946 to the 1955 period. That post-war celebration, the US dollar became the world currency reserve in 1944. The economy boomed. And as a result, that generation of baby boomers, the richest generation on the planet, 1 in 5 is a millionaire. They hold 80% of the wealth in the country. One of their biggest areas of spending is health and wellness. Like hugely different audience group to that existing market. They're still living active lifestyles into their 70s. Many are still working and retiring much later. Now, this is the generation that we're serving now, but they spend more. They are internet users. They make research buying decisions. They want to make a decision to choose the best before picking up that phone and making a phone call. And they've already pre-decided that they want to work with you or don't want to work with you ahead of them ever meeting you. Like so different. But they spend more, they're used to buying more frequently, their expectations are a little fairer than the previous generation. They'll do their research and make a smart buying decision before choosing you. And like, once again, a perfect market. If you could wave a magic wand and draw the type of patient that you want to attract, it's probably someone who lives an active lifestyle. They're a little younger, they get it, they know how to do an iOS update without having to come to you and you do it. They spend more, they have bigger financial power in order to make buying decisions. They're used to increasing the frequency of purchasing decisions and technology upgrades. And the market is nearly 3.5 times the size of the previous market that we've catered for the past 20 years. So that's another big exciting reason to be excited for the future of private practice. A lot more people who need services like yours who can spend more money and want to make more informed buying decisions ahead of just going to a trusted brand or going to who's on the high street. They want to feel researched, smart, capable and good before picking up their phone to you or scheduling that appointment. Pretty good situation. What's the third thing I've got here? This is a big one for 2025 that I'd be getting excited about. 2024 for many practices has not been a super positive year. It's not been a year of growth. It's been a year of kind of meeting existing goals, even taking a step back, a year of stability. And there's a big underlying reason why that has been. Of course, there's the economy. Of course, there's factors like that we can play. It's been a heavy year of politics and people will delay a buying decision with unpredictability of what's going to happen for the future, finances. But there is an underlying one. And that is that we know the typical cycle of when people upgrade technology is around 4 years. And 4 years from 2024 was 2020. A year where nearly nobody bought first-time hearing aids, a year where upgrades didn't really happen at the same scale as they would because coming in to see you wasn't really a logical option that could occur. Maybe early in the year, maybe late in the year, but the majority of the year, the market was pretty drastically impacted as a result of COVID. What that resulted in was 2021 was a very, very good year for a lot of practices due to pent-up demand. A lot of people sat in their house who would have bought hearing aids, but now had to wait until the situation was right where they could go and get hearing aids. So 2021 was almost a banner year for a lot of practices as they had almost 2 years worth of revenue and opportunity crammed into 1 year. As we enter 2025, we are the 4-year milestone of that 2021 banner year. So the people that bought their first set of devices, the people that upgraded in 2021, we are now at that beautiful 4-year mark where the conversation can naturally occur to explore something new. So the amount of revenue and opportunities from your existing database should be very, very tasty and opportunity rich as we enter 2025. So a good reason to get excited if you've got a practice that's been around a number of years of why 2025 is going to be a good year, especially if you can do a good job from an upgrade perspective. And a good job of an upgrade perspective is not wait till the manufacturer launches new technology and take their crap mailer and send it to your patients and hope for the best. It's to do it with some intelligence, grace, and empathy towards helping the patient to achieve better hearing with story attached. And that may be another podcast that we come to. Here's the fourth. The fourth is the playing field is leveling out. And what I mean by that is the previous big brands that could spend significantly more on Google to outcompete you, to spend more on you, to buy adverts on your name and go aggressively against you online, that is changing, right? We see this. ChatGPT are getting significant market share. The Department of Justice have told Google they need to sell Google Chrome. The likely buyer of Google Chrome will probably be Microsoft, who naturally is the biggest investor in OpenAI, who runs ChatGPT. Like, the playing field is changing for how people search for information online. ChatGPT has no ad model. You can't pay to play. It's putting the best option in front of the individual and the user. So all of a sudden, having a bigger budget to fight harder online isn't going to reward people with the changing dynamics of the internet. Is this a 2025 thing? Probably not. But over the next 7 years, this is going to be pretty significant in that shift. And therefore reasons why I think we're entering a very golden period for private practice. Apple, heightened awareness, more people realize they've got a hearing challenge. Hearing loss, hearing health, hearing care is going mass market. Second, we've got the boomers coming through who can spend more, who want to make a better buying decision, who expect to upgrade technology more frequently, significantly better market, and they're 3.5 times the size of the previous market we've served for the past 2 decades. We then have 2025 being the 4-year milestone of the banner year of 2021 for many practices. And then we have the changing dynamics of Google and ChatGPT, which means the playing field is going to be leveled out and the big groups that can pay to play are no longer getting that competitive advantage. Those people that are coming into the market, they want to choose the best. And your job is to prove you're the best. And that isn't spending more on advertising. And in the same way that advertising is like asking somebody on a date and marketing is all the reasons they say yes, marketing and reputation and brand are the big ways that you win, become iconic in your community and attract the types of patients that you want to work with. I nearly choked on my trapped then. But this is why I'm super excited for 2025. And there's a lot of naysayers. There's a lot of doom and gloom. Please let those people go and be doom and gloom. They'll be doom and gloom no matter what happens. Leverage the opportunity right now. Get around people who are also excited and positive for it. And I promise you, being around, rubbing shoulders, being with the doers and achievers, not the dreamers, is the way that you can move forward and make 2025 and the future years as positive as possible. So I hope you're all set for a wonderful year. Appreciate your time, appreciate your ears, and I will speak to you again very soon. And there we have it. Another episode has come to an end, and I have a quick favour to ask. If you have found this helpful, then who do you know who should listen to this podcast? I strongly believe a rising tide lifts all boats, and right now, private practice needs to stick together to fight these big, gormless groups and these manufacturer-owned Goliaths that are looking to take market share from us. Consider who should be listening, pass on the word about the Business of Hearing podcast, and I'll see you again next week.